This weekend, we head off to the home of British motorsport, to a circuit which straddles the county lines of Northamptonshire and Buckinghamshire. It's a fantastic venue that stood the test of time in the world of motorsport, opened back in the late 1940s. It has been a true test for many of our drivers for years and years and years, courtesy of some of the most incredible corners in world motorsports: Maggotts, Beggars and Chapel, Stowe, going around Club, up through Abbey. It is a fantastic venue. Of course, the start-finish straight for us, out of Woodcote down towards Copse Corner this weekend, over the 18 turns. Some of the most well-known in all of the world, including the end of the Wellington Straight, where you've got the Brooklands Corner. 5.9 kilometres or 3.6 miles in old money as they wrestle their way around the circuit, which has very little when it comes to elevation change, courtesy of it being an old airfield back in the 40s. And that is a look around the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit we'll be racing this weekend.
We are now down here in the assembly area, getting ready to go for round 6 of the GB3 Championship. Piers Pryor alongside me. Piers, I think it's best, rather than us to speak to each other, we go and speak to some drivers, because we're running a little bit ahead of schedule. I want to see if I can speak to a man on the front row, Oliver Stewart, who we have been speaking to this weekend. Oliver, starting on the front row at Silverstone, how does that feel?
Yeah, obviously it's great to be at the front row, but it's not exactly the race that we'd like to be starting at the front. But nevertheless, it's a good opportunity to score some good points and get our first race in GB3 under the bag as a win. So, yeah.
Best of luck with it. That's Oliver Stewart.
Saki starting from pole position alongside Oliver Stewart. We race our way down towards turn 1, and I'm not sure that was a great start from Stewart. We head down towards that first corner. Costa Paris continuing to struggle. It has been Ollie Stewart dropping back a couple of positions. He's got Edward Pearson almost making his way through around the outside, almost losing his front wing and all of that. They go 3 wide on the race down towards the likes of Maggotts, Beggars and Chapel. Look at that though, on the inside, that bright red highlighted car of Callum Foyson that was trying to work his way through, getting shuffled out just a little bit by Max Esterton, who's moved backwards on the start of the race, and the Fortec car is dropping down the order.
You saw that 2x2 through Maggotts and Beckett side by side, about 3 or 4 rows, and they're still side by side. Look at the snake weaving left and right down the Hanger Straight, and we're about 4 wide. Yeah, we are 4 wide going into the background. Wow, that's going to be tight. Well.
Yeah, there's big drama in there. Costa, I think that might have been. I was going to say Costa Paris, but I think that might be John Bennett. John Bennett, rather, that's had a couple of issues in all of that. We'll watch them all come through here. And who's losing a front wing in there? Oh, was that Morales or Reese?
No, that is one of the JHR cars. I can't tell who that
Reese.
is. It's Reese. Oh, Reese was. I think he might have had damage actually, because he was locked up going into the corner from very early on in the braking zone into Vale, and ended up collecting that car on the outside. I didn't quite catch who it was.
It's Loke, by the way. I think Loke is the one that's lost the front wing. I wasn't 100% sure, but I'm looking at this being a bit concerned. I think it might be our championship leader that has lost its front wing. We're wondering if there's going to be a safety car in all this. I'm not sure there's the requirement of it. Waberski having to worry about the charge of Headley getting to the inside. That is Max Esterson out wide with the green highlighted Fortec car with the iRacing logos on the side, back towards the race leader. Yato Iwasaki having to deal with Noah Ping, who sends it straight to the inside. That is superb from Noah Ping, who's going to come across the line to lead the first lap here in the final race at Silverstone.
Yeah, that could be a decisive move. It was a great dummy manoeuvre. He looked to the outside, Iwasaki defended to the inside and thought, I've got it covered. Ping went back to the inside and took the lead from Iwasaki up the inside. That could be decisive, because we potentially might have a safety car not been called yet, so they're still racing now. Ping is in the lead and is actually allowed himself to get onto the racing line, which is good. Voisin now looking at the inside of, is that Christodoulou?
It is indeed. Christodoulou has gone out wide. Voisin might pick this one up. As we can see, Voisin's made his way up to 7th position. section. A few drivers running out wide. They've got to be careful not to do that. I think it was Gerard Shea coming through the foreground of shot. Someone has come into the pit lane, which is Joseph Loke. So unfortunately, championship leader and two-time race winner this weekend. He's had a great weekend so far. We're having a good chat with Mike Epps between the two races. Obviously, his driver coach saying there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But alas, he's in good stead. But you know, just a disappointing final race.
One thing I've noticed, which is ridiculous. Timet Kuharczyk up 9 places on one lap.
That'll be Shin going off. Sorry about that. Shin getting squeezed. I think there's 3 wide and all that. But you're absolutely right. Kuharczyk's flying.
Yeah, and that'll be another place for Kuharczyk probably there, because he's up 9 places, so nearly in the top 10 already. And his pace, we know, has been great. As we go side by side, one of the elites and Chris Dittman cars in C went out shot. No, they managed to make it through safely, which is good. And that is Reese coming in.
Rear right puncture, unfortunately. That would I did kind of wonder, I think there might be actually damage on the rear right rather than it just being a puncture. So big shame for the JHR development team to have both cars, or 2 cars rather, dropping down the order. Here's their other one. That will be a move to the inside from Morales, trying to get past Pearson. It's Morales what will be on the left-hand side. It's Pearson in that blue highlighted Fortec car that's just muscled his way through, and trying to make his way through all of that is Krista Dulu, and this could open up the opportunity. There's been contact there, sending off Morales, and I think Voisin might come through in all of this.
Yeah, Morales just tried to hold it around the outside of Aintree and got the shove onto the dirt. I think he'll be a bit annoyed with that, and going through all that mud and wet grass, but he'll have a lot less grip going through the next few corners. Voisin picking up the pieces here. He's doing a very good job once again of just about staying out of trouble. I don't know whether on the first lap the 2 JHR cars may have come together.
There is potential. I mean, it was all 4 wide up into that section, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was 4 wide, not even just from the camera angle. It was genuinely 4 cars abreast, which we know that...
Oh, who's that smoking? Is that Morales?
It is potentially. Is that from the underside of the car, or is that from the engine?
It
looks from the underside.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
It is. It will be Morales when he went off. Maybe one of the bolts from the floor tray, or the plank they call it, has been dislodged, so they might be just dragging on the ground. It also looks like that Mavlyatov is dropping off the back of the group in the far background as well. Our race winner from race 3 at Alton Park.
Yeah, Bennett having a few issues to try and get past his Rodin Carlin teammate of Costa Paris. This is a look in the background. You can see that car, the one that's actually spitting out the smoke, is trying to get past Waberski. That will be David Morales trying to make his way through. Clearly he's not struggling. If you kind of look underwards, you can see a little bit of the floor hanging a little bit lower than normal, as we can see Callum Voisin making his way past Pearson. So Voisin's up to 5th.
Yeah, Voisin having a very, very strong race. Up to 5th. Oh my goodness, 5th place. That's an excellent result. We saw him come through the field at Silverstone.
Max Esterson, no front wing.
Max Esterson's race weekend is going from bad to worse. He's clearly had contact with another driver. Front left puncture, front wing gone. That's pretty much race over, even if there is a safety car. So you still see some lockups going into that is the village and the loop.
Not sure who that would have been with us. I mean, he was around the likes of Dunn, Kuharczyk, Morales as well. So we'll keep our eye on all of that and see who's dropping down the timesheets. There's Waberski coming through the middle of the shot. This is back towards the front, and you can see Roujon trying to get his way past Stewart as we head down towards Brooklands. It's Roujon on the outside with the red car for Chris Dittman Racing, trying to make his way past the number 17 of Ollie Stewart, who's out wide going through Luffield. You could see how fast his hands were moving.
Yeah, that was a big slide from Stewart, struggling a little bit at this part of the race after Roujon is putting the pressure on and keeping it up there, and he's very, very close. I think his best opportunity potentially next will be down the hanger straight into Stowe.
Yeah, as they fly their way through, going through Cobbs, no movement in here. You can see the large gap back to Callum Voisin, 4.8 seconds. A little bit of a look to the inside there from Krista Dulu, trying to get his way past Pearson. That lead battle for 6th position, but we were talking about this in the previous race. If you have a half-hearted look down towards Cobbs, you could be a sitting duck by the time you get down into Magnus, Beckers and Chapel. Plenty of side-by-side in all of that. I think that might have been Dunn trying to make his way past, certainly is Dunn trying to get past Morales, which again asks the question as to who Esterson was in contact with, because no one else has dropped down.
Yeah, maybe he just hit the rear tyre of someone, as we see Pearson's going to be under pressure once again from the number 16. Of course, that is Mackenzie Cresswell, who's had a very strong race going around the outside. We saw Loke do this in the previous race, but in the damper conditions, that's Esterson. Let's see if Cresswell managed to make that move stick. Yes, he did. That's a great move.
Pearson's, dropping back a little bit because Waberski's going to come through as well. His teammate, ooh, that was a little bit tight there. So that'll be Waberski making his way up the order. There is again a little bit of a look at the damage and such. Fortec going to work very quickly here to try and get the front wing off, try and get the front left off as well. Tense times for them, but alas, I don't think Esserson's going to be finishing higher than 22nd, where he presently is running. Might not go a lap down though, which if a safety car comes out, that's what you're fighting for.
Yeah, and there's all the hallmarks of a safety car at this point, because there's fights up and down the field. Hopefully it's all clean, but you never know. With this many cars on the grid this close, as we can see, that's Kuharczyk trying to make another position on the Chris Dittman racing car. Is that Zach Taylor? Yeah,
it is.
Taylor, who's had a strong race in race number 2 this weekend, is now fighting off probably the driver, almost certainly the driver who's made the most positions up this weekend, Timek Kuharczyk. We spoke to him before the race and he was ready for a fight in this one, and is showing that he can do that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he was really dejected yesterday and this morning, but as the racing's gone on, he's been picking himself back up again. They understand what's happened, they understand what's gone wrong, and to be fair, Kuharczyk's just digging in deep for such a young driver to keep this focused. He's had some really solid drives, including a top 10 in the previous race, looking to get a top 10 in this one, presently running in 12th position as we see them all fly their way through Copse Corner. They are rapid at this point. There is Mavliatov. Unfortunately, yes, of course, yeah, race winner, struggling a little bit more at Silverstone as he did back in the previous round. That is, by the way, just Max Esserson going a lap down. Just a note, this race is, of course, 5 minutes longer, yes,
but the same number of effectively free passes at track limits. Yes. So expect to see some penalties towards the end of the race. 5-second penalties for exceeding track limits more than the allowed times. Timek Kuharczyk is now, no, that's not Kuharczyk, that's Morales now having a look at the inside of Pearson. Can't get it done here. He'll be looking on the brakes into Vale, but he's now under pressure from the car behind him, which is Dunn. See if there's going to be the move from Morales. Like you say, Dunn's having a little bit of a look, who then has to worry about Kuharczyk behind as they all funnel their way through Club and out onto the Hamilton straight. James Headley also here in the middle of shot there with the bright green helmet in the charcoal grey Ardent VRD machine behind Zach Taylor, who's struggling a little bit more in speed. You've got Costas Paris and John Bennett still behind that. Bennett unable to make his way past the teammates. To give you an update on lap times at the moment, everyone's running pretty close on lap times. Joseph Lokes at the fastest lap of the race. Costas Paris is sending one straight down the inside of James Headley, getting squeezed off just a touch there, and the Ardent VRD car not having to worry too much about Taparis, because Taparis has his teammate nearly down the inside. That is Silverstone classic, isn't it, where it's you go for a move, and if you don't make it, well, you have to worry about the car behind, because they will be there and they will be close. Anyone going for a move down into Brooklands, bit of a defence from Morales, but no move from Dunn. Yeah, in the background, Steiko is having a look up the inside of Bennett now after that poor exit through the loop and Aintree. We now keep on this battle between Pearson, Morales and Dunn. Yeah, you can see Steiko there once again having a bit of a look on Bennett, looking over the entirety of the Luffield section. A couple of battles coming through in all of that. I think Gerard Shea and Sean Rashid are pretty close as well in a fight down, and I think just about outside for the final point, 18th place. At the moment though, Ping is clearing off. To give you an update for what's happening towards the front, the last lap time Ping was about 0.3 faster than the Yato Iwasaki, so there are some gaps beginning to grow, and there is the confirmation as well on your screen that the fastest lap of the race has just been set. I mean, it said Waberski in there. It certainly is a 55.083. He was only about 100th of a second faster than Cresswell ahead, so it's a pretty fast gaggle of cars where Waberski is in that 8th position. The grip that Kuharczyk has is very impressive. I mean, he's right in the back of Dunn. Dunn feeling like he needs to go defensive, but Arthur Rosen is right there as well, trying to pick up any pieces. No, sorry, that's Zach Taylor, my mistake. Zach Taylor in the Chris Dittman car, trying to pick up any pieces. Bennett round the outside of his teammate to Paris into Vale. That's a great manoeuvre, keeping it clean between those two. Yeah, that was a nice one, not irritating Trevor Carlin too much, as you've got the likes of Callum Voisin being up inside the top 5. I mean, there's been a few struggles for the Rodin Carlin team, courtesy of those penalties that have gone the way of John Bennett this weekend. He's not a dirty driver, but he's just fallen foul of a couple of mistakes this weekend that he has held his hands up to, as there we see a bit of a lock-up there from Zach Taylor, and he's got to worry backwards. Oh, he's gone straight on, and guess who's followed him? James Headley's gone straight off with him. Yeah, I saw that coming. It was Taylor basically got his foot in very early on the exit of the loop, dropped a wheel on the exit of the curb, and once you drop your outside wheels off the back of that curb, the car bottoms out and you're basically on a skateboard, as we see Dunn going up the inside of Brooklands, where his race was ended in the previous one, and making a lovely manoeuvre up the inside of David Morales.
Oh, I'm just also getting a note that Ollie Stewart has just received a 5-second time penalty for track limits. That is the first one, and we're not even halfway through this race. 6 laps left to go in all this. Let's take a look at the replay of that incident. Let's see what happens with Zach Taylor here.
Yeah, you can literally see Taylor getting on the power so early to try and get a strong exit to defend from Headley and going off, and then Headley, unsighted, just basically followed him. He will have had a bit of understeer from the aero wash, but yeah, they've both lost places because of that. We're now looking at Pearson under pressure from Dunn now, and Kuharczyk's actually dropped back behind Morales. Wait, or was he already behind?
Yeah, I think he was already behind.
Sorry, my mistake. Yeah, I was getting confused as who was where.
Yes, it's Dunn and Morales have switched over.
That's it.
Kuharczyk's still in 12th place. It's kind of where he's been for a few, a lap or two now, which, I mean, to be fair, the fact that he's come from the back of the grid and got to 12th, I mean, yeah, it's not bad. It's been a very impressive showing from this young man right here, and we'll see if that's going to continue. We did see a lot of graining, though, in the gym. Well, never mind, it's got past because there's been a couple of mistakes there from David Morales, and so that is Kuharczyk through.
No, I think Morales has actually got a problem.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I think Morales has got a problem.
Yeah,
because I think that'll be where all the grass has gone through the into the radiators when he went off the trackers and probably just overheated the engine, and the engine will be going into limp home mode. So it's a really unfortunate for Morales. Another position for Kuharczyk up to, well, that'll be 11th place now without penalties. Yeah, you can see he's put his rain light on to let everyone know that he's hobbling home. But Noah Ping at the front of the field is romping away.
Yeah, he's last lap he was half a second faster than Yota Iwasaki, and again a reminder, the third car in shot, that number 17 of Ollie Stewart, that car does have a penalty. It'll be a 5-second post-race time penalty at the moment. He could be, he's the only one so far to have picked up one. I'm not sure he will be by the end of the race, as there is Dunn looking to the inside of Pearson, almost getting into the side of the 41. I was going to ask though, we saw a lot of graining in GB4 in the race. These tyres the same? Are we expecting the same?
I don't think we'll expect the same, because the thing with the GB3 cars is they've got that much more downforce. There's a lot more load going to the tyre, so it will heat up more evenly. And it's often when the centre of the tyre is cold and the surface gets hot from scrubbing that you end up with the graining. And it doesn't look like we're seeing any graining yet, and we are 15 minutes. No, 11 minutes remaining. So we've
got 5 laps left to go.
Yeah. So we're not seeing any graining as yet. So the track temperature being a bit higher probably will help as well. But yeah, no issues so far.
Yeah, they're not. The main car, it's not sliding over the surface of the circuit too much comparatively. It's being pushed into the ground by the downforce, but still. One
thing I've just noticed, that is we're looking at Kuharczyk now on the back of Pearson. Kuharczyk's actually got a Sunoco sticker stuck in the grille of his radiator. So
it's on the right-hand side, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. So you'll see that next time you look at a front-on shot, and that will be driving his engine temperature slightly up and up, and it might end up meaning he'll start to lose some power towards the end of the race. As Headley's having a look up the other side of Taparis into Vale, gets the move done. Taparis leaving him plenty of space.
Yeah, did also see ahead of that there was a couple of other moves going on. This is Callum of Voisin on the back of Rojon, so there could be a move coming here as Voisin might make his way up to 4th position, or will become 3rd courtesy of the penalty going the way of this man. Again, he's not the only one to have done it. I've just seen a 5-second time penalty has gone out for cars 15, which is Iwasaki, cars 39, which is Shea, Mavli atop as well, picking up a 5-second time penalty in the 99. That is 4 drivers who have picked up 5-second time penalties. We'll try and keep on top of this as best as you can, but at the moment both elite cars running 2nd and 3rd, both of them have penalties.
Tell you what is an absolute statement. Unfortunately, the 2 JHR cars that ended up having to come into the pits for changes, Loke is almost a lap down, has set the fastest lap of the race by a second. 1:54.6. The next fastest lap that I can see is a 55.
There'll be a 55.0 for Waberski.
Yeah, so he's 4 tenths, or on the previous lap he was almost a second faster than anyone else. So he's clearly angry and trying to make up for it and show that he would have had the pace to come through the field. We can see what we saw earlier in race 2. He can make manoeuvres, and really disappointing for those 2 JHR guys. But we're looking back at Voisin now, who's having another very, very solid race, keeping the pressure on Rojon.
This is exactly what we've been saying about with Voisin so far. If anyone caught us in the 2nd race earlier on today, the 2nd race of the weekend, we're going to see a switch here between the 2 Elite Motorsports cars. This is Iwasaki in the 15 on the left. The 17 with his slightly more yellow is Stewart, making his way past Iwasaki and into 2nd position. So that must have been a slow exit from Iwasaki, who I think might have some problems
100% Iwasaki must have a problem. He looks slow in a straight line and he's defending hard now, and this is going to
overheat, potentially?
Yeah, potentially. Maybe he went through the grass and we didn't see see at some point. And now that is Voisin up the inside of Rojon. A great move there. That's very, very close. Good of Rojon to give him space. And now he's going to be looking up this inside of Iwasaki to try and get into a podium position.
Yeah, straight line speed on the Hamilton straight seemed okay from the Elite Motorsports car, but if there are going to be any struggles, it'll come out of the loop and Aintree and out onto the start finish. There, unfortunately, is the third JHR Developments car into the pit lane. David Morales, it has not been the great third race for them. Unfortunately, they've had a great day thus far, but you know, not every race can go perfect. You've got to take your highs. There's confirmation of the fast lap that was set by Loke on the previous lap. He's literally just reset it to a 54.585 as we're continuing on in this race. Let's see if Callum Voisin can make his way through the defensive line being taken by Ayeta Iwasaki, and there is the outside line inside being taken from Nico Christodoulou, as that is the move straight around the outside. Beautiful stuff at Brooklands from Callum Voisin, and behind all of that, Christodoulou has made his way past Rojon.
We've seen that Voisin can make manoeuvres. We saw it last year at Brands GP, which is a notoriously difficult circuit to overtake, when he went up like 10 places. But again, a textbook manoeuvre around the outside of Brooklands, set him up. Iwasaki over defended, nice and deep on the brakes, give the guy on the inside space, and then you're on the inside of Luffield, and that is an excellent manoeuvre. Dunn now setting the fast lap of the race in 9th position, so charging onto the back of Wilberski at this point, at this rate.
Again, just to clarify with the results that Voisin's been getting this weekend, because we're saying, you know, maybe in qualifying he's not really looked like incredibly fast. We're saying about, like, you know, your average day is better than everyone else's average day. On the Saturday race, he finished in 6th place. On the race earlier today, he finished in 4th place, and this race is going to be finishing. He looks like he might be finishing on the podium.
Well, if you're
how incredible is that from Callum Voisin?
If you're trying to mount a championship challenge, you just need to bang in top 10s and top 5s as often as possible. And with a 6th place, or was it a 5th, and what could be a potential podium in this one, that's a very solid weekend. I don't want to jinx it.
No, absolutely not.
Touching wood, there's no wood in the comms box. So.
No, there actually genuinely there isn't. There's a brick wall. I mean, that door's wood.
Anyway, Callum Voisin on his own now, trying to put the pressure. He's in the podium position. He'll be chasing down Oliver Stewart. Let's have a look and see where the fights are on circuit now. Oh, John Bennett's got a time penalty as well, as does Toparis and Reese at the back of the field. They're coming in thick and fast now, time penalties. So Iwasaki has a penalty, so that will put Christodoulou and Rojon and Cresswell up as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of penalties out on this grid. Like we're saying, Christodoulou's going to move up onto the podium here, by the way, at the moment. Yes, he is on the rear end of Iwasaki. If he gets this move done, that'll be great. But at the moment, because of the penalty for Iwasaki, he's moving up. You did say we were going to see a lot of penalties in this race. There will be 2 laps left to go at the end of this one. Christodoulou's got to the outside of Iwasaki, and he put on a really good move here on Rojon on the previous lap. He's going to send it in around the outside of Brooklands, and yes, I know there's some issues coming from Iwasaki's Elite Motorsports car, but that's a brilliant move from the number 2 of Nico Christodoulou, looking to get onto the podium.
I don't actually think Iwasaki's got a car problem. I think we may have thought it was, because he looked like he was slow for a couple of corners, but he's right back on the pace now, and unfortunately he's just getting overtaken, I think, on sheer pace at this stage of the race. But yeah, it's good to see that the Arden VRD cars are having some good pace in this one, with Christodoulou's had a pretty strong weekend. But Voisin, even though he's in 3rd in the road, is now 2nd after, of course, Stewart's penalty will be applied after the race. Let's see if there's any more penalties coming in. Any more new ones?
No, it's just the 5, the 43 and the 27 were the previous 3 that came out, which of course was for John Bennett for Costa Toparis, and the 43, sorry, the 43 is of Toparis, the 5 being of Reese, so Reese being another one getting that penalty. Just to clarify as well, for Nico Christodoulou, this would be his first podium in Gb3. Of course, he did a lot of, he did not all of last season, but most of last season. Ended up finishing the final race of the season in 4th, but for him to have worked his way through the order, he's had to do this properly. It's not as if he's been given it by poor qualifying, whatever, has been at the back of the grid, and so he's been reversed to the front. He has had to work for this big time, as we can see Morales still in the pit.
Get back out in this race, as we still got a race on here between Dunn and Wilberski. Actually, no, Dunn's made his way past Wilberski.
Yeah, certainly. So the 22 is clear of Wilberski at the moment. Obviously, Dunn doing that whilst setting the fast lap. His last 2 lap times was a 54.5 and a 54.5. That's how consistent that, by the way, fast lap of the race territory on both of those from Dunn. So he is rapid at the moment as he's trying to catch up with Mackenzie Cresswell. There's a little bit of a battle ahead of this, as I think it will be Rojon trying to get past to get to Iwasaki, and this time he's got to the inside of Brooklands, and the number 18 will move his way through. Penultimate lap of the race coming to a close, heading on to the final one as Rojon does move his way up the order.
Yeah, that's a good move from Rojon. It seems like that elite motorsport car of Iwasaki, he's just not getting the strong enough exit out of the loop, which is leaving him vulnerable into Brooklands, which is where most people have got through. But there's now a race for second on the road. Even though Voisin doesn't need to make this manoeuvre, I wonder whether he will be told by his team via the pit boards that he doesn't need to make this manoeuvre, because of course he could risk and try and get it on the road, but if there's a contact between them, then that is no net gain for Voisin at this point, because he's not going to catch Noah Ping at the front of the field now with just a 1 lap remaining. But I think maybe he'll just be trying to make another position just for fun.
Oh no, Callum Voisin's just received a 5-second time penalty. So has the number 11 of Styko, and of the 9 that belongs to Zach Taylor. So there's even more. So this does actually matter now for position. It will be the final spot on the podium if I can do the calculations. It's so complicated now, everything that's going on. We'll just talk about it as it's going, because Callum Voisin's sending it around the outside, trying to get past Ollie Stewart. That is a superb move from the Rodin Carlin of Callum Voisin. Fantastic stuff as they head through club.
It's not done yet though. Stewart's back in the slipstream and Voisin's having to defend into the first corner at Abbey. They're going to go side by side through here. No, not this time. But yeah, that is a move for position. I don't know what position it will be quite yet, because it's now time versus positions, but he'll be happy to get that move done. It's a shame that he's actually got that penalty, because, you know, he was driving so well. He could have just maybe reeled it in just, you know, 1% and not abused those track limits quite as much. But again, that last lap, the fastest lap set again by Alex Dunn in 8th position.
Yeah, I'm not joking when I say nearly half the grid at the moment have time penalties. It has been a wild final race here at Silverstone. A couple of drivers, though, that don't have time penalties thus far. Don't want to jinx it too much. But both the Arden VRD cars that are running 1st and 4th at the moment, that should become a 1-2 for Arden VRD, as we'll see Noah Ping, who's been fantastic through this race. He's pulled out by 3.1 seconds, and Ping will cross the line to win his first race in GB3, round number 6 of the championship. As he crosses the line on top, the penalties will start to be dished out, but Christodoulou, I do believe, will move to 2nd. Rojan as well onto his first podium, so it's a brand new trio on the podium. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, so provisional results after time penalties being applied: Ping, Christodoulou, Rojan, Voisin, Cresswell, Dunn in 6th, Stewart down to 7th, Kuharczyk 8th place from the back.